The U.S. Supreme Court heard arguments today on a law that would ban the social media app TikTok from the U.S. market unless the company is sold. Congress approved the law last April, citing national security concerns. TikTok's parent company is based in China. The CBC's Mike Crawley has been monitoring the case in Washington, and he joins us live. So, Mike, explain for us, first of all, what this law is designed to do.
So, Andrew, the law is designed to block distribution of the TikTok app in the U.S. unless its owner, which is a company called ByteDance, sells it off by a deadline of January the 19th. So the law would make it illegal for companies like Apple or Google to have TikTok in their app stores for users in the U.S. And the reason for all this, according to Congress, is national security. The U.S. considers China a foreign adversary. Lawmakers don't want a company that's under the influence of a foreign adversary controlling a huge communication platform like TikTok. You got to remember, this app has 170 million users in the US, and Congress believes the Chinese government could have access to the app for espionage. Either they access data of Americans or they manipulate content on the platform. All of these are potential. So the law passed with really strong support from Republicans and Democrats in both the House and the Senate. And Congress gave ByteDance about 9 months to sell TikTok to a company that's not under Chinese influence. That deadline arrives on January 19th, and that is why the Supreme Court agreed to hear this case on a fast-track timeline.
So what arguments did the court hear from the two sides?
Yeah, this case really comes down to a battle between two principles that matter an awful lot to Americans: the need for national security versus the First Amendment right to free speech. So on TikTok's side, we heard lawyers arguing that this law is a fundamental violation of that right to free speech, that the effect of it would be to stop free expression on TikTok. The lawyer for TikTok's users held a news conference after the hearing. Take a look.
This is an unprecedented case, and I don't think there's any way to think about it in any other fashion. The government has never threatened to shut down a speech platform in this country because of the ideas expressed on that platform.
Now, the argument that the court heard on behalf of the U.S. government is that this is not a free speech case, that the law in no way targets the content of what people post on TikTok, that merely it targets who owns TikTok, and that this falls in line with a long history in the U.S. of legally restricting foreign ownership on, say, broadcast outlets, for instance. Now, while it could be many weeks before we get an actual full-scale ruling or decision from the court, TikTok asked the justices to issue either an interim stay or an injunction, so basically pausing or stopping the law before it takes effect 9 days from now.
Yeah, and we're 10 days away from a new administration in Washington, so how might that change things?
Well, in his first term, Donald Trump wanted to see TikTok banned, but he has since changed his tune. In fact, he submitted a brief asking the court to put a hold on the law so that when he goes from being president-elect to being president again, that he could resolve the issues through what he called political means. So what could we see if the ban does kick in on January 19th, and then the next day Donald Trump is sworn in as president? He could issue an executive order pausing the enforcement of the ban. One expert I spoke to told me that Trump may be looking to try to use this ban as some sort of leverage in negotiations with China. So, Andrew, there is lots still to come on this issue.
All right, Mike, thank you. That's the CBC's Mike Crawley live in our Washington bureau.